Okay, we're live.
It's going to be caught on the live mic.
Live.
Here we go.
Hot mic. Are we live?
Yes.
Okay, we're ready to go. So this is a meeting of the governance committee meeting,
Correct.
and I think Mike Paparian is acting chair, so Mike, this is your meeting.
Okay.
Well, I make a motion, Mike becomes chair.
I'm acting chair.
Acting chair of the
I'm
governance.
making it permanent.
Well,
Well, Wanda, let's Wanda want to do it.
well, I think for today, I think the governance committee was gonna meet and appoint or recommend to the housekeeping committee, or excuse me, the full board.
Yes.
Two appointments to the governance committee. And so we're just sort of making a motion to have Dennis Feeney to be a member, and Wanda to be a member, and the vice chair. Is that the way that should be?
So the way it's set up right now in the housekeeping resolution, which is included in your packets, if you look at Schedule A, the governance committee that's appointed tentatively proposed is Wanda as chair, Gary as member, and Dennis Feeney as member.
Of what?
Governance committee, just the governance committee, not Mr. Paparian.
Okay, yep. That's the way I understand
Is
it.
that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? So moved. And then I think at this juncture, we don't need to go into executive session. We can make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? So moved.
There you go. All right.
Sarah, do you have to shut this one down and
No,
and
it's
open up a new
continuous.
one?
Continual.
It's just continue? Okay, so we've got that done. Now I believe we're going to do the audit committee meeting.
Yes.
Okay. So, welcome. I think the first matter here is we need to approve the minutes of the audit committee's meeting on November 19th, 2024. Let me just see that, do we have a quorum for the audit committee? We do, okay. So can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. The next order would be an audit report. We have today our auditor, partner Brendan Kennedy. Brendan, I'll pass it over to you.
Good evening, everyone.
Just one second. So we don't have to do this twice, because we're all here from the
Right,
committee
so
anyway.
what will
just-
happen is Brendan will go to the audit committee will accept it and then recommend it.
So he
Brendan
doesn't
only has to
just do
do
it once. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Continuing on, everyone should have a copy of the deliverables, and I put together a very brief presentation. I promise to keep it short and sweet. So we were engaged. This is our first year as your auditors. And so when you flip on here to the table of contents, we'll do a brief executive summary, touch on some audit highlights, and then go through the required communications. And then I'm done, and we'll leave it open for questions and comments. I understand there might be a question on the conduit debt footnote, which we're going to investigate and make sure that's clear, a reconciliation item between the Paris report and the footnote. And the third party would be the prior year financials. We got to make sure they all jive. But not a significant issue. I'm on to the executive summary. We have two deliverables for you. The financial statements are actually yours. The only thing I own in that document would be the auditor's report, and you can find that past the table of contents. So there's an auditor's report on the financial statements, and then in the back of this document is a report on internal controls and compliance. This is in accordance with government auditing standards. That would be the vehicle in which we would report any material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, or material non-compliance. As you can imagine, the audit went pretty quickly because there's not that much going on.
Nothing.
So we were substantially completed by the end of January. In essence, Amy turned over the records. We did our debt confirmations, we prepped the financials, and we sent everything back to you. There are no internal control or compliance matters. Therefore, that gas report that I referred to earlier will will be a clean opinion. And also, as to the auditor's report on the financials, we plan to issue an unmodified opinion, also known as a clean opinion. That's the highest level of assurance I can give you, the board, that the financial statements are free from material error. Areas of audit focus, they're probably what you would expect, given the nature of the organization. The one thing we did have to do is review predecessor auditor work papers. We do that so we can substantiate the 23 balances and have a clean starting point for our audit. We received the full cooperation from the predecessor auditors. They were easy to work with. In terms of audit testing, the bulk of the testing was as simple as a cash confirmation and going through the bank reconciliation. All were completed without issue. We do some test work over the income statement, if you will. We do substantive tests of details over those revenues and disbursements, no issues. We do consider fraud in the conduct of our financial statement audits. That includes inquiries with management. We looked at journal entries to the extent they existed. There were few, and nothing came to our attention that we would report to you folks here, the audit committee. And finally, the financial statement preparation. While you guys own the financials, we obviously make sure that things are categorized correctly, footnote disclosures are accurate, and that everything ticks and ties. So obviously no issues of substance to report to you folks. The second deliverable that I highlighted on that executive summary was a required communications letter. It's a multi-page letter. I've summarized it here in these bullet points. You'll have the formal letter as well. But as mentioned earlier, as part of the financial, statement preparation process, we do look at your accounting policies and practices. There were no changes of substance, and we found them to be reasonable and appropriate. No audit adjustments or uncorrected misstatements. Obviously, that's a good thing. That means the trial balance that Amy supplied to me is the financial information that you have before you. There were no errors or issues detected as a result of the audit, and so we're here to report no adjustments, either made or uncorrected. The audit process was smooth. We had no disagreements. We're not aware of any consultations. That would be known as opinion shopping. If I told Amy something she didn't like and she called another CPA and said, hey, I don't like what Kennedy says, and she got a second opinion, we would have to present that to you folks here, and we're not aware of any. No significant issues or difficulties encountered, and there is no significant written communication other than the management representation letter, which was provided to Amy, and that'll be signed at the conclusion of the audit, and that's at which point we will finalize that report. Those were my prepared remarks, and again, I hear there may be a question on the conduit debt footnote. So what we're going to do is take the predecessor auditor financials, take the Paris report, and then take the confirmations we have and figure out which one is right. Ultimately, we know the ending balance, and logically, it wouldn't make sense to have a beginning balance since it's labeled 2024. However, I think I had that amount in there simply so that it would tie to the predecessor auditor report. So either I'm completely crazy and I missed it, but from our perspective, it's not a big deal. It's a footnote disclosure. It's $191,000 on $75 million in debt. So we're going to simply put it where it belongs and fix it, and we'll report that back to you folks and get that cleaned up. But if there's any other questions or comments on these financials, I'm happy to address. If there's any comments on the audit work or anything you'd like to know about the process, we're always available to discuss. My contact information is in the back of the presentation.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. Are there any questions from members of the board?
I have two questions.
Sure.
One question is on the classification of the bad debt write-off as an operating expense in the audited financial statements, which is not how it's classified in the Paris report. I did have a discussion with Amy about that classification, and it seems like that maybe that's a non-operating expense, but it seems like they should be classified as the same type of expense. Yeah, because differences like this are what trip you up with the ABO to start reviewing the Paris report against your financial statements. So I'm not 100% convinced which it should be, but they should be the same.
Yeah, we can certainly look into that tomorrow morning. Obviously, we're up against the clock, but that, we still have time. So we'll look at that. The one thing I'll tell you in my dealing with the state comptroller, not necessarily the ABO, is that their practices and preferences does not always mirror US GAAP. And so the financials, of course, are US GAAP based,
Right.
whereas they may have their own internal policies and preferences. But I can certainly understand why it may be preferential to move it down so that it ties.
Yeah, I would just like to.
Did you get an email to me on your opinion of that tomorrow?
Yeah.
How's that, Bill?
And you have received attorney's letters from Hutch and Russ?
We didn't do attorney letters because there's no significant litigation. At BST, we only send legal letters if there's evidence that there might be some kind of ongoing contingent liability. It cuts down on the audit process, and it generally saves you money because they will send you a $500 invoice for telling us that there's nothing going on. So usually what we'll do in these instances is we'll look at legal invoices and review board minutes and review, have inquiries with management. And if anything comes to our attention, at that point, that's when we'll prepare legal letters and send them.
Great, appreciate that. Are there any other questions?
Good clarification.
Have you anything? Questions? Counselor, any questions?
No, at this time, we would ask your permission, a motion to recommend that the ACCRC board at their full meeting momentarily accept the financial statements.
The finance board?
So we'll go ahead and we'll make a motion then to submit this order.
Recommend to the full board the
Yep.
acceptance of the audit
Yep.
report
Yes.
with the modifications that we talked about.
Correct.
Yep.
You Get a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Let's move it.
Good.
Regarding anything else here in the audit committee, do we need anything else here?
The Paris.
Just like the Paris.
So
Copy that. I just want to see how that's presented in the first.
the Paris, yeah. So in your packet, you have the Paris reports. There's 4 separate reports. The first one being the annual report, which has some sections on governance as well as board of directors. So all the board of directors are listed. There's a staff section, subsidiary and component unit, which we don't have any. And then the financial summary information, which mirrors the audit presented today. The only difference is that I have the bad debt in non-operating expenses and Brendan has it in operating. So once we get that clarification, I can move it to where, it needs to be, if it needs to be moved to operating expense. There's a current debt section where all the bonds are listed for Colony and the conduit debt total. There are sections on property documents. I know one of the sections Bill and I and Mike and I discussed earlier was the loan that was written off to bad debt. You'll notice that there's a section here that says, have the terms of the loan been completed? I checked yes. And what doesn't print on this report is there's a separate section in Paris where I can put notes, and in there I put in the notes that the loan was written off to bad debt expense. The reason I put that the terms have been completed, because if I don't put yes, this loan is going to continue to show up on the Paris reports in the years going forward. So the only way to get it out of Paris is to check that yes box. But like I said, when the ABO goes into actual Paris to look at our information, they'll see my note that it was written off to bad debt expense.
As long as that clears the muster, because that was a question, it didn't make any sense to me, but,
Right.
Clearly the loan was in default, so they're not in compliance with the deal. So that's really contradictory to what you would think.
My question would be, and maybe council can answer this, what is the official status of this loan? Was it foreclosed? The minutes, there's minutes that indicate that there was a foreclosure process, which to me would mean that we're foreclosed, the loan doesn't exist anymore, it's gone. Is that really what happened?
I'm not sure on that one, Bill. I'd have to look at that because that's a little out of my lane. I don't know if Kevin has anything on that.
My understanding was it was a deed in lieu of foreclosure.
That's right. I
Yeah,
was gonna say.
that sounds
I
right.
think it was, and, Paul Goldberg represented us on that. And I think that's how it was disposed of, but I probably should have had the will give us some, I mean,
I think we're in the same spot, it's just how we got there, and I think instead of foreclosure, it was just a deed in lieu of foreclosure.
But that's what the section, the note section is for Paris to provide kind of,
And I can add whatever
Explanation.
language you'd like, I can
Right.
put
yeah,
that,
we can talk to Paul. and-
Yeah, I can add any language, it's just the only way to get this off of here next year is to put that, and then people, and the notes that I put in there, the public would be.
Any amendments that you make, just send to the board, so we know, just underline the changes.
My question, is there any possible life to collection of this
Zero.
loan from
No.
any,
no.
Yeah,
or from any subsequent sale of the property or anything like that?
Well, that's a
Is there
different
a-
story.
You could write it off, but you could still maybe have a remote
yeah,
chance
I
of some
agree
sort
with
of
you. I don't
collection.
think that was the way it was handled. I think it was, we sort of signed our rights.
Of the sale, we have an agreement with the Alliance of the sale, anything over, whatever it was that they had there.
For
We
the,
were gonna get our 200,000 back. Anything,
Anything with who sells?
the Alliance.
The Alliance.
we sell to
They
a
sell to some,
for-profit entity.
or
Yeah.
a for-profit,
For
yeah.
profit.
They sell for $1 million,
Mhm.
we get our 200 back, whatever it was, 250.
Yeah.
So that's their only recourse.
Right.
Other than that,
That's
Which is
over.
making it
That's it.
unlikely that we're, instruct the reason why we wrote it off.
Right.
It's unlikely
Yeah.
that that's gonna happen.
yeah. it's not-
Can I
I'm sorry, one
ask
second.
a quick question? There were more loans or something against that property.
Yeah,
What
when
were
we,
we at in line?
when the loan was disposed of, there was a couple of mechanics liens, one's from E.W. Tompkins. Somebody else, there was, I think total it was 20-something thousand dollars in liens or encumbrances on the property that had to be,
So
dealt with.
was anyone paid?
what's that?
Was anyone paid?
Yeah, they agreed to a settlement amount, and I don't know what it was.
So the CRC was not part of that?
No,
The Alliance was.
No, the Alliance was.
Oh,
So the county legislature gave the money to the
Yeah.
Alliance to buy the building back from the creditors, basically.
Okay.
With the three
Okay.
banks, the CRC, the Key Bank, and Broadview. And,
And our share of legal expenses, right? I
Yeah,
think
it was all
like
expenses. I think it was-
16,000.
yeah, it was, I think the total consideration, Amy, do you remember what it was? It was like, I think just for the building, it was 200 and something thousand.
250 maybe,
250.
honestly?
Yeah, I think it's 250.
Yeah,
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Was the loan factored into the price that the Alliance paid? Somehow, some way, part of the deal?
Yeah, it was with all the creditors were together. So this is an awkward situation where the CRC, Key Bank, and Broadview were the creditors.
Yep.
And the Alliance was the one purchasing the building from the creditors. And it was a deed in lieu of foreclosure.
So I think my thought was, and again, I know we're short on time here, being March 26th, but if a portion of that loan was, forgiven as part of your project, is it classified correctly as a bad debt expense, or is it really part of a? It's renaming it, but.
Well, it hasn't been yet, because we don't know what's gonna happen with the property.
right, there was
Maybe
no
next year.
consideration, the
I'm
money the
just wondering if
Alliance.
there's
Maybe next year it will be,
consideration.
not
Yeah,
this year.
Brendan.
but the most you're gonna get is 250.
What's
That's
that?
it,
The most the CRC is gonna get back is 250.
right.
Well, right, but, Broadview had first position on the bank, on the note. Key Bank was, did we have co-seconds, or was Key Bank second and and
I thought-
CRC was unsecured?
It sounds right.
Yeah.
We were third.
Third.
But the first two were paid, right? They're
Not,
paid
not
all.
the entire,
They got a portion.
Yeah, I wouldn't change the expense, I just wonder if it's
Yeah.
really project oriented.
I would wait a year, I would look at it next year.
Well, it's gone, once it's
Yes,
expensive.
this year,
I'm just wondering if it should be called something else, but. There.
I have a question for you. Either one, the Paris report or the audit, with respect to the jobs that are committed to, when we do these projects, there anybody who audits those to make sure that they're in compliance?
Yes. Yes, we do.
You don't do that. So,
Staff
and
does.
Staff does.
Yeah, that's a
You do.
staff function.
where are we with that?
On what, CRC jobs?
On the CRC, yeah,
Yeah.
just the CRC.
Did we combine those CRC jobs already?
I have, there's two that I don't have.
So this is, yeah, this whole,
That's idea.
yes, the only projects we have on there are the BOCES projects.
Oh.
The only ones we have outstanding,
All the other ones are closed.
I believe so.
Yes.
All the other ones are closed? Okay. So, do you have enough for everybody, or,
I just printed that for Kevin, for
Oh.
his reference.
Okay.
what, I don't, because they don't mean it, they're not documented what they mean. How do you arrive at these? You do the letter?
It's, yeah, for
Yeah.
status.
For part of the
An
pass.
Annual status
I
report
thought
is
we
sent,
done it before.
Amy puts the rest in Paris.
an annual
Each
status
com-
report
Each company
is
is
sent.
supposed to fill it out by the
Yes.
end of the year and report
Yeah.
what their jobs were against what they were projected to be.
In your opinion, are they all in compliance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Are you all set with your?
Yeah, I mean, if there's no
Do
questions
you need
on
a
the,
resolution?
So yes, we should do a
Yeah.
motion to recommend to the
Motion.
full board to accept the Paris report.
Okay, can we make a motion then to accept the Paris report to the full board?
No motion.
Do we get a second? All in favor? Opposed? So moved.
Wanda.
I think,
There you go.
we can adjourn, a motion to adjourn, the audit committee.
So moved.
Okay, second, okay, all moved.
There you go.
Keep
Do we have to shut down or just keep going, Sarah?
Keep going.
going.
Just keep going.
So now we're full CRC board.
So now is the meeting of the full board.
All right, so welcome everyone, March 26th meeting at the Capital Resource Corporation, of the County Capital Resource Corporation. We'll call the roll. Wanda is here.
Here.
Mike is here. Bill is here.
Yes.
Gary's here. Okay. Mike, you want to make the first thing is on the audit? Take a look.
Oh, yeah, can we make a motion to, we had an audit committee meeting, that got moved to the board, full board. I make a motion to approve, the audit.
Second.
Second, Wanda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Of course, of course.
We got audit done. Paris filing,
you just need to approve them.
Yep, just need to approve accepting the Paris report.
motion to accept the Paris report. Mike, second. Bill, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Thank you. Annual report, certified audit, we.
Yeah.
Talk.
Mr. Chair, we're in section 4. We should do the housekeeping resolution.
Everybody's had to review it. Any questions on the housekeeping? Motion to approve the housekeeping resolution? Wanda, second by Bill, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Investment report?
Financial.
Financial report?
Yeah, you're right.
CFO report?
Yes.
I'll be looking at the audit committee.
Oh,
Gary, Mr. Chair, we should also approve the minutes of the December 4th, 2024 meeting.
motion to approve minutes.
I'll move it.
Mike, second. Wanda, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Ted. CFO report?
So in your packet are financials through February 28th, starting with the balance sheet. Cash balance is roughly 1.5 million. Prepaid expense of $1,400 and accrued investment interest of $8,700 from the CD that we have for $1 million. And then I will go to the budget versus actuals. Year-to-date February, our total income is $8,800 versus budget of $10,000. This will increase hopefully as, projects close and we collect the fees for such projects. Total expenses are $25,000 against a budgeted amount of $29,000. So in all, our net loss through February is roughly 16,700 versus a budgeted loss of 19,500.
Any questions? Motion vote.
I'll move it.
Mike, second.
Second.
Wanda, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Thank you.
And I did want to mention one other thing. I believe I gave all the board members, we have a confidential evaluation of board performance. So for those of you that are on both boards, you'll have 2 copies, but for the CRC board, this is an annual requirement that needs to be sent, once we have collected them all to the ABO. So if possible, if you could fill these out today and hand back to Sarah or
Can
Anthony.
you do me a favor?
Sure.
Be a lot easier. I'd probably get back quicker too.
Okay.
Could you email this
Sure.
to me in a form that I can fill it out? and Just send it back to you?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
And these, evaluations come straight from the ABO. These aren't, things that we put together, so.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
Any projects going on?
Talk to the CEO. CEO report.
We are, we've been informed that we may expect an application from the same group that does the financings for BOCES for the so-called Capital Center, the convention center, that there's a discussion of a project by them for the tune of $37 million. But we have not seen the application yet, but we're told to expect one in the coming weeks.
The RFP just went out, right?
I don't know.
I got something today on that, yeah.
We're not involved in the project at all, just they've come to the CRC because it's a nonprofit and they want to issue bonds. So this will be another, BOCES type project where these folks down in Florida, what is it, CIDC, I think they call
It
it?
is. That's, they're the 501c3 that allows us
I don't
to.
think that's the same thing you're talking about. Yours had something to do with the looking for
Did you see Danny's
RFPs.
thing? Did I send that out to you?
We got an email today about.
Yeah, I got an email about some after the county put out an RFP
Yeah,
for.
for the land we got in the back of Beaver Street and,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, we'll see what comes down. All right, anything else?
No, nothing else, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other business?
The big one?
Counselor?
No,
I
sir.
just have a question. Gene Nursicola, is he
Yes.
still on the board? Did he
No,
resign?
Gina stepped down.
Okay, all right. I did
Yeah,
not know
he,
that.
ever since his wife passed, it was difficult for him to make the meetings.
Okay, thank you.
You should probably do
Yeah.
a proclamation or something thanking him for his,
There's
Many,
many
many
more.
yeah, we could, Counselor, come up with something, the other boards do, we can all send that to him. Great, that's good. And goes public conversation on there for public, right? So we're good to.
There is Luke Nathan from the business review standing outside, but he's not.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Not for us. Executive session, do we need to go in? No, okay, anything? Okay, motion adjourned. Second by, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you for the audit.
You're welcome.
Very good.
We'll be in touch tomorrow morning.
Great.
So we'll make sure everything jives.